don't know, it just doesn't make it fun anymore. I don't know, I'm just trying to be honest with you guys, just trying to be upfront and just kind of share my thoughts on this topic, but at the end of the day, I don't know. How NFTs can make it or break it, but at the end of the day, I'm glad that EA is being very cautious and they're approaching this with a light head, and they're just saying, okay, look, we're gonna look at it, we're gonna see how we can make this work. But I think at the end of the day, the whole thing here, just the thing that captured my attention was the fact that they talked about being able to get out of cars, you know, beyond just driving cars. What else can you do with a Need for Speed game? And that's where I'm gonna open the discussion for you guys in the comment section below, and I want you guys to tell me, what do you think, besides just walking around a car and looking at it, what else can a player do to have fun in playing Need for Speed, but not just driving cars, racing? What else can you do on foot? Could you run? Could you do races on foot? I mean, I don't know. It's just me being dumb and thinking about that, but you just never know. I think there's so many ways to have fun with the game and so many ways for people to get creative. The bottom line is that there's always a way to make things work, but it's the execution that makes it valuable or a disaster in comparison to some of the games that we have seen lately. And EA, come on, we gotta step it up. Delivered with Battlefield 2042. People are not happy, but at the end of the day, I want to see what they do with this. I want to see what they do with Need for Speed 2022. I want to see Criterion make the best game ever, and hopefully we see an announcement. I think that we were talking about how they plan to announce Need for Speed closer to launch. I think that was one of the questions or something that they mentioned in there, where the game is actually going to be announced around maybe Gamescom, maybe closer to the launch of the games, around October or September, whenever they decide to do it. It's coming this year. I think EA needs that profit. The problem is, will Need for Speed 2022 be a good game? And that's what really has me scratching my head right now, and I'm sure yours as well. Wish you guys the best. Thank you so much for watching and catching up on all news on Need for Speed and more racing games here on the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys soon. This is HelpRipper24, and I'm out.
Roast up. They say you can't stand to eat in the kitchen to stay out. When little nigga just came to get your ass roast up. Y'all little niggas keep thinking I'm just some old stuff. I mean, yeah, nigga, I know I got age on it, but that just means I know stuff. See, I didn't tell you was being born, I probably just woke up. Hustled to the fiends in the rain, pulling the collar on my coat up. See, when I see I'm rocking the hard place, I come from in between stuff. When I say this, because I mean stuff. When they say this, because they think it means stuff. I tell my bitch to dip my bullets in codeine, because when I hit the scene, I'm coming to lean out of me. So stop all that mean, before I squeeze something. You don't intimidate Mo because you're a fat nigga with bushy eyebrows. Just watch yourself. Don't get full of yourself, because I'll pack a punch that remind you of a fire marshal. I'll treat your face like a nightclub. You in violation, I'll shut your shit down. You was running your mouth about what we was going to do in June and didn't show up. So I had to wait a whole month for you to lie now? Doctor put him on bed rest. Told his young ass he should lie down. Well, call your doctor. Ask me if you got any advice for a nigga that's going to die now. Big bad home to you. Nigga, you about to find out compared to me, you just a lunchbox gangster. And I want to hear you say you ready to draw. Because I've had so many brushes with death, you would think I was a painter.
You only believable to niggas who not believable. Because when you rap to me, I don't feel it here in my spirit. And it's causing me to believe that every punch, moon, land, and fake. I'm a conspiracy theorist. My last battle, y'all said I lost. So what you want to talk about? The white kid murdered me? He beat me. So that's cool. For saying I got beat by Joe, I'm about to start blacking with the big nose. Same shit that made Mike get surgery. New dog. Got caught from Puerto Rico. If you disrespect me, a shell will soon blow. And he don't understand what these Spanish factions screaming in his face, but that's what I'm telling Moon Dog. You got a long game out your mouth, and I'm getting this food pop. They didn't put you against some of the most potent and allowed. And it's finna get Moon rocked. Isn't that ironic?
People think unusual circumstances means complicated taxes. But for a TurboTax Live expert like me, it just makes things interesting. So, give us everything you've got.
Sheepish creepers! I just got 2 packages sent to my house.
No, you ordered them because you want to get fatter.
Excuse you. These are healthy items approved by my dietitian.
Liar!
My subscribers don't want to hear this. You guys.
Your subscribers think about that.
Cover your ears. You guys, I got 2 packages sent to this apartment, and I'm going to open them up and find out what's in them. You guys want to know what's in the big box?
Wicked.
You know what? I'm sick of it.
I'm eating.
You look like Mr. Potato Head.
I'm eating.
You look like Mr. Potato Head.
I'm not shaped like a potato. 3 parts.
Hey guys, we're gonna find out what's in the big box. I have 2 boxes. I got 2 big packages. Find out what's in them. Here we go.
Don't show my clothes, please.
They already know you're a slob.
No. Okay, guys, I have to be very careful. I'm kind of losing my voice.
From screaming at me.
Yeah, you guys, let's find out what's in my package. Come close. What do you think is in here?
Food.
Okay, so anyways, excuse me, he's not gonna say anything, aren't you? No, you're done. So I'm gonna open up this box. I better not cut it. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to make sure that I open this correctly. Sheesh. My eyes are a little
Click the link down below and follow my Patreon for mukbangs and drama not allowed on YouTube. Link below.
Right, open it up. Hey, it's Christmas! So, I got something brand new I've never had before. This is called noodle. I don't know if I said it right. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. It's by Paldo. I probably said that wrong too. It's like Paldo. Jiangyong. It's like a... I don't even know what I just said. But I just like the pretty package too. It's very cheap plastic. It's very thin. It's very thin plastic. I like thick plastic. This is very tasty. But there's a little baby squid on here. I don't know if you can tell. A little squid. Yummy in my tummy. And there's no English in here. That's how I know this is like really authentic. I can't wait. You guys know I love Korean food. One day I will be visiting Korea. So if you like Korea, if you are K-pop, I will be coming to see you one day. Yay! Okay, so I got more curry noodles. Okay, noodles. These are the barbecue noodles. I've never had these before. Noodles. Oh, I got some volcano pellets for a volcano challenge for you guys. Alexa, turn on Nick's temper.
I changed the name. Alexa, turn on 2.
Does it look better? Noodles. Okay, so these are all noodles. I got lots of cups. These are so exciting. I'm going to be doing little challenges for you. We got volcanoes. Okay, now we have to do another box. I love cheese. I love cheese. I love cheese. Yay! This is a new noodle too. It's called artificial crawfish stir fry noodles. Crawfish noodles. I'm gonna eat crawfish noodles.
That sounds gross.
This is a brand new. It looks very similar to Samyang. It's the knockoff. It's a competitor to Samyang. I've never heard of it before. It's called like Oogly or something like that.
Oh, you're Oogly.
Oogly. Here we go. It's similar packaging. It looks like they're coming for Samyang. But the Samyang, well, we have to see the noodles look thinner. Noodles. Why is it wet? Oh, my face just went into liquid. It smells like
you?
No, like pee.
Oh, that's what you smell like.
Or maybe it's bamboo shoots, you know. Did this get rained on? No. Why is it wet in here? It's like wet. It's in the middle. Look at all the water. There's water droplets all around.
It could just be your sweat. You're always sweating.
No, it's no one peeing. You know, there's a food that smells like pee, but
It's not pee, it's called bamboo shoots. Okay, one of my best friends is Vietnamese, and I went to Oriental.
Hey ladies, we're giving out a ton of Morphe makeup right now for free. No credit card needed. We'll ship it right to your door. Just take a 2-minute survey and they're yours.
Number 7. Calabria Gondrezic Haskins. Professional football player Dwayne Haskins was attacked by his wife at a Las Vegas hotel in July of 2021. After marrying in March of that same year, the couple had reportedly taken the trip to Vegas in order to renew their wedding vows. On the night of the incident, Calabria Gondrezic Haskins and her husband had had a heated argument in their room at the Cosmopolitan Hotel. The woman had reportedly become upset after Haskins had gone to a nightclub with his friends without waiting for her and her friends, who'd attended a show earlier in the evening. The conflict eventually escalated into a physical altercation, and police officers were called to the scene after Haskins had sustained what were described as substantial.
Fucking losers.
Injuries. Upon their arrival, they discovered that the 24-year-old quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers had a bloody lip and was missing a tooth. He was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment, although he would later claim not to remember having been punched by his wife. Haskins also disputed the report that he'd lost a tooth in the row. However, officers at the scene had reportedly found it on the floor of the hotel room. Gondrezic Haskins was taken into custody and charged with felony battery and domestic violence resulting in bodily harm. On January the 10th of 2022, her charges were reportedly dismissed. Number 6. Nina Thomas. Police officers were dispatched to an Airbnb in Austin, Texas, in the early morning hours of April the 13th of 2020 after receiving a call about a disturbance on the premises. When they arrived at the rental home, the officers saw a knife-wielding female chasing after a shirtless man who was holding a gun. Both individuals were ordered to drop their weapons and lie on the ground with their hands clearly visible. They both followed the officers' orders without further incident, and an investigation into what had transpired leading up to the intervention of law enforcement was officially set into motion. According to court documents, the woman that the police had encountered was Nina Thomas, the wife of former professional football player Earl Thomas. Following a contentious argument between the couple, which had reportedly centered on the former NFL star's excessive drinking, Earl had left their home with his brother Seth. A short time later, Nina logged into her husband's Snapchat account to track his location, whereupon she discovered that he was at the nearby Airbnb, where the police were ultimately called. Nina told investigators that she grabbed her husband's 9mm Beretta and driven to the rental property with 2 female companions. Upon their arrival, they allegedly discovered Earl in a bed with his brother and several other women. Enraged, Nina berated her husband while holding him at gunpoint. Earl eventually managed to wrestle the firearm away from her, but not before she'd hit him in the face multiple times. A female witness that had allegedly been in bed with Earl and his brother later revealed to the police that one of Nina's friends was carrying a knife, had been waving it aggressively throughout the altercation. Nina was ultimately charged with burglary of a residence with intent to commit aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. In November of 2020, Nina filed for divorce from Earl. She was also granted a restraining order against him following an incident in which he'd threatened her and her family in a drunken outburst at her parents' house. Number 5. Erica Wolf Jones. On Christmas Eve of 2021, political commentator Alex Jones called 911 to report that his wife had violently assaulted him at their residence in Austin, Texas. The founder and host of InfoWars would later tell investigators that he'd become fearful for his life after 43-year-old Erica Wolf Jones had struck him more than 20 times with her fists and a soap bottle. She'd also allegedly made attempts to hit him with a polished club and a 5-pound stone ball. During the 911 call, Jones told the emergency dispatcher that Erica was still trying to hit him over the head with the club. Officers were called to the scene, at which point they took the woman into custody. She was booked into Travis County Jail shortly before 9 p.m. on December the 24th. While the couple was giving the child a bath on the night of the altercation, they'd reportedly gotten into an argument regarding Erica's suspicion that Jones was cheating on her, and the physical altercation erupted soon after that. The responding officers had reportedly noted the distinct smell of alcohol on Erica's breath. However, her husband attributed her violent outburst to an imbalance in her prescription medication rather than to her intoxication. Erica was ultimately charged with causing bodily injury to a family member and resisting arrest. Number 4. Bobby Brown. In an autobiography published in 2017, American singer Bobby Brown expressed his belief that his marriage to renowned singer and actress Whitney Houston had been ill-fated from the start. The couple had reportedly met while attending the Soul Train Awards in 1989, and they married 3 years later in a ceremony held at Houston's New Jersey mansion. Brown would later claim that his wife had introduced him to cocaine shortly before their marriage, and that he'd even stumbled upon her partaking in the illegal drug on their wedding day. Shortly thereafter, Brown himself reportedly developed a cocaine addiction, which gradually worsened throughout the 1990s. Houston would later file for legal separation from her husband and eventually divorced him in 2007. Over the course of their widely publicized tumultuous relationship, Brown was arrested several times, including in connection to a domestic violence incident in which he'd allegedly struck Houston in the face. Police officers at the scene reported that she had a visible bruise on her left cheek and a cut inside her upper lip. Following their divorce, Houston publicly stated that Brown had been abusive towards her on multiple occasions throughout their marriage. Number 3. Krista Glover. 3-time PGA Tour winner Lucas Glover was the victim of a domestic violence incident involving his wife in May of 2018. The resulting arrest report indicated that Krista Glover had attacked her husband and mother-in-law at a rental home in Ponte Vedra, Florida, where they'd been staying during the 2018 Players Championship. Local sheriff's deputies arrived at the scene at around 8:30 p.m. after someone in the house had called 911. The officers reportedly came upon Krista and Lucas as they were engaged in a verbal altercation on the front porch. In an official statement to the deputies, the professional golfer revealed how his wife had allegedly been drinking throughout the evening and instigated an argument with him and his mother after he'd gotten eliminated from the tournament earlier in the day. Lucas went on to explain that Krista would often verbally abuse him whenever he played poorly in a golf competition. During the incident in question, the woman had physically assaulted Lucas as well, a statement substantiated by visible lacerations on his arm. Lucas's mother also had cuts on her arms, and the deputies noted that there appeared to be blood on her clothes. While Krista was in the officer's custody, she reportedly attempted to escape and forcefully kicked the rear driver's side door of the police cruiser, damaging the vehicle. She was ultimately charged with domestic violence and resisting arrest.
I used to pay $162 every month for my car insurance. Now, check out how much I'm paying. $28 a month. Most insurance companies are ripping us all off. The insurance giants don't want us to know that there's an easier way to get cheaper insurance. All I have to do is go here and get a quote in 2 minutes. And if you've overpaid on insurance in the past, they'll even refund you your money. You just put in your information and it compares the best rates from all the different insurance companies to find the best one for you. Plus, it includes state discounts, which other insurance companies don't do. And it's all to help you find the best rate. So this is how I'm paying $28 a month for car insurance. It makes no sense. Now I'm not paying $162 a month for car insurance. So I put the link down below so you guys can check it out for yourselves. Thank you later.
Learn how anyone can entirely recover their dental health tonight without stepping foot in a dental office. Do you have toothaches, bleeding or receding gums, decay or bad breath? I am about to show you how this amazing discovery will change your life. Did you know that there is a natural method?
Number 2. Emma Coronel Aispuro. On February the 22nd of 2021, law enforcement officers descended on Dulles International Airport near Washington, D.C., where they arrested the wife of the infamous Mexican drug lord known as El Chapo. 31-year-old Emma Coronel Aispuro was subsequently charged with conspiracy to distribute cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, and marijuana in the United States. Her arrest occurred following a federal investigation into her connection to her husband's international drug trafficking ring. Prosecutors alleged that Aispuro had been intimately involved with El Chapo's criminal activity while he served as the head of the Sinaloa cartel. She'd reportedly grown up with knowledge of the drug trafficking operations, as both her father and brother had been cartel members themselves. Federal investigators claimed that Aispuro had facilitated the transfer of messages between El Chapo and his lieutenants while he was incarcerated at the Altiplano prison in Mexico. The FBI further alleged that Aispuro had been a key element in her husband's 2015 escape from Altiplano. A criminal complaint against the woman detailed how she'd organized the construction of an underground tunnel that was subsequently used by El Chapo to flee from the detention facility. The tunnel reportedly stretched from a hole beneath the prison shower all the way to a plot of land roughly a mile away. In her interviews with investigators, Aispuro claimed to have had no connection or intimate knowledge of the Sinaloa cartel and her husband's illicitly obtained freedom. The charges leveled against her carried a maximum penalty of life in prison and a $10 million fine. She ultimately entered a plea deal for federal drug trafficking charges and in November of 2021 was sentenced to 3 years in prison in the U.S. Number 1. Kenneth Petty. In October of 2019, hip-hop artist Nicki Minaj announced that she'd married a childhood friend of hers named Kenneth Zoo Petty. The news of their relationship was met with some controversy due to the fact that Petty had been convicted of abducting and abusing a teenage girl in September of 1994. Court records detailed how the man had forcefully taken high school student Jennifer Huff to a house located near her bus stop, where he assaulted her at knife point. Petty consequently spent 4 years behind bars. In March of 2020, he was arrested once more for his failure to report his previous convictions to the state of California, where he and Minaj resided at the time. In September of 2021, the 43-year-old pleaded guilty to the new charges during a virtual hearing with the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California. The charges Petty faced reportedly carried a maximum prison term of 10 years, and his sentencing hearing was scheduled to take place on January the 24th of 2022. Petty and Minaj were also sued by Huff in August of 2021. The civil lawsuit claimed that the couple had attempted to intimidate the alleged assault victim into recanting her allegations against Petty. Thanks for watching. Would you rather marry your celebrity crush or get $5 million wired to your bank account? Let us know in the comments section below.
Look, did you know there was a government-funded education?
13. Fishermen deaths in 2006. In general, rough seas became stranded near the North. Chow would refer to the island as Satan's last stronghold. Scared and desperate, Chow refused. Number 13. Fishermen deaths in 2006. In January of 2006, 2 fishermen were consumed by the deadly perils of North Sentinel Island. Sundaraj and Pandit Tiwari were illegally harvesting crabs off the island's coast when their boat drifted into the shallow waters. At nighttime, their improvised anchor failed and the boat floated with the current. Passing fishermen tried to warn Raj and Tiwari, but received no response, and they'd most likely fallen asleep. Soon enough, the men got close enough to the shore that they were approached by the Sentinelese, the island's native inhabitants. Most past attempts at contacting the tribe had been met with violent resistance, as they seemed to fully reject the outside world. This wouldn't be an exception. A group of Sentinelese warriors, armed with axes, approached the boat and butchered the fishermen. According to one source, the bodies were later mounted on bamboo sticks, facing the sea like scarecrows, presumably as a warning. Several days later, a helicopter from the Indian Coast Guard found that the bodies had been buried and attempted to retrieve them. As the aircraft approached the island, it was met with a barrage of spears and arrows launched by the Sentinelese. The helicopter had to abandon its mission. Number 12. Death of John Allen Chow. The 2018 killing of missionary John Allen Chow reignited global fascination with the Sentinelese tribe. In November of that year, fully aware of the dangers ahead, the 26-year-old went to North Central determined to convert his tribe to Christianity. He didn't get the required permits and bribed local fishermen to take him within 1,600 to 2,300 feet of the shore. From that point on, Chow kayaked towards the island in spite of the fishermen's warnings. His attempts to interact with the tribe were met with a combination of bewilderment, amusement, and
The fuck? Clown.
Hostility. Upon first making contact, they approached Chow with bows drawn, as he told them that he was there by the authority of Jesus Christ. Chow gifted them with fish and quickly paddled away, but would later return to the island. A journal entry from November the 15th, 2018 describes how he was shot at by the Sentinelese. While closing in on the North Shore, he attempted communication by replicating their shouts, but the Sentinelese burst into laughter. He approached them with gifts in the form of scissors, hooks, tweezers, fishing lines, safety pins, and other items. As Chow got out of his kayak to hand over the gifts, a young woman and a child approached him with their bows drawn. Chow thought it would be the end, so he started preaching and singing worship songs. Then the child shot a metal-headed arrow that struck the waterproof Bible he was holding near his chest. The tribe took the gifts and his kayak, but allowed the missionary to whirl through broken coral and then swim away. After this interaction, With the Sentinelese, Chow would refer to the island as Satan's last stronghold. Scared and desperate, Chow refused to give up on what he believed was his mission. On November the 17th, he instructed the fishermen to leave without him as he made his way to the tribal settlements once more. The next day, the men saw Chow's lifeless body on the shore. 6 fishermen were later arrested for breaching the perimeter and bringing the missionary close to the island. Despite efforts on behalf of Indian authorities, his remains were never recovered. Number 11. Legal implications. In the aftermath of the 2006 and 2018 killings, there were polarizing views about whether or not the Sentinelese should be prosecuted. It remains a difficult conversation, since it involves subjecting an uncontacted tribe to the conventional law of modern society. The crux of the matter is that the Sentinelese people have been
Fuck out of here.
Abundantly clear that they want to be left alone. Those who ventured towards the coast in recent years knew they were doing it illegally and were aware of the dangers. This was also reflected by what Chow wrote in his journal. Please do not be angry at them or at God if I get killed. Don't retrieve my body. According to the Protection of Aboriginal Tribes Act of 1956, it's illegal to make contact with the Sentinelese or even get within 5 nautical miles of North Sentinel's coast. Researchers and anthropologists who want to do so need to get proper permission from the Indian government. North Sentinel is a sovereign place under its protection, and the laws that have been put in place prevent the authorities from prosecuting the remote tribe. The government resumes its activity to remote monitoring, and there's constant armed patrol to prevent outsiders from reaching the island. In Chow's case, the US government didn't ask Indian officials to press charges, nor was the tribe prosecuted for the 2006 killing of Raj and Tiwari. Number 10. Location.
God doesn't care if you're mad and angry. He wants you to talk to him either way. So I got down on my knees and I started praying. I let it all out. I yelled. I said, I'm angry.
Number 10. Location. North Sentinel is one of the Andaman Islands, which form an archipelago in the Bay of Bengal, located in the northeastern part of the Indian Ocean. At about 23 square miles, the island is roughly the size of Manhattan in New York City. After the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake, a tectonic plate was tilted under the island, thus exposing large portions of the surrounding coral reefs. They subsequently became dry land or shallow lagoons and connected North Sentinel with Constant Islet, a forested patch of land off the southeast coastline. Aerial expeditions were carried out to assess the damage the tsunami had caused to the island and its inhabitants. Despite massive tectonic changes, the Sentinelese had remained miraculously unscathed. To this day, North Sentinel's inhabitants remain shrouded in mystery, and most of what is known about them stems from speculation and limited observation. Number 9. Andamanese people. The Sentinelese belongs to the larger group of Andamanese people, of which only roughly 450 remain. Other tribes include the Great Andamanese, the Honga, the Jarawa, and the Jangil, a people extinct for roughly a century. The Sentinelese is the only tribe who has consistently refused contact with the outside world, and the only one still living in their original homeland. Towards the end of the 18th century, a time when the other Andamanese began to have sustained contact with outsiders, their numbers were close to 7,000. As time passed, loss of territory, violence, and disease wiped out most of them. It isn't known whether the Sentinelese isolation and reluctance is a reaction to seeing their neighbors dwindle in numbers. Number 8. Stone Age civilization. The Sentinelese has been described as a Stone Age civilization, as many of their practices haven't evolved for tens of thousands of years. Some reports claim that they lived in isolation for nearly 60,000 years with little changes to their lifestyle during this time. They've maintained a hunter-gatherer society and aren't known to engage in agriculture. It's still rather unclear to what extent they use fire. They hunt with bows and catch local seafood. There are some similarities to neighboring tribes. Like the Honga, they make canoes, the two being the only Andamanese tribes known to do so. They use long poles to propel the canoes, which are suitable for lagoon fishing and rarely used for navigating to other islands. The markings on their bows are similar to those of the Jarawa, and like them, the Sentinelese sleep on the ground. The uncontacted tribe has understood the value of metal and has scavenged it to cold-forged weapons and tools. It's believed that they've mainly sourced their metal from shipwrecks on the island's coast. The axes and metal arrowheads are larger and heavier than those of other tribes in the region. This would seem to underline the prowess of Sentinelese warriors, as well as their readiness to take on invaders. Judging by the fact that Chow was shot at by a child, one might deduce that the young engage in hunting as well as warfare. Number 7. Society. The tribe's adults are shorter in stature than the average human, and researchers place their height between 5'3" and 5'5". The difference may be explained as the result of genetic heritage, nutrition, or insular dwarfism. The Sentinelese have been described as having melanite teeth and a dark, shining black skin color. Their muscles are well developed and very prominent. It's unknown what they call themselves in their language, which is unclassified, remains a mystery. It doesn't seem to overlap with any other in the Andamanese linguistic register. According to Chow's notes, the Sentinelese communicated through a multitude of high-pitched sounds. They live in temporary shelters, which are typically placed on foot poles and feature slanted leaf-covered roofs. They are mostly naked, as both the men and women only wear bark strings, as well as ornaments in the form of headbands and necklaces. It's been reported that they sometimes wear the jawbones of deceased relatives. Their weapons feature engravings of geometric designs and shade contrast, and the men often have daggers tucked in their waist belts. It's still unclear how many people live on the island, but common estimates range between 50 and 200. From the earliest recorded contact to the 21st century, there have been several violent interactions between the Sentinelese
motherfucker. Damn, I like it. Damn. Fuck out of here, nigga.
And outsiders. Number 6. Early contact. In 1771, Diligent, a passing ship from the East India Company, first mentioned the island and noted lights upon the shore. Almost a century later, an Indian merchant vessel ran aground on the coast of North Sentinel. The crew and passengers safely made their way to the beach. On the third day, they were suddenly attacked with arrows by the island's inhabitants. The captain, who had fled in the lifeboat, was later picked up by a sailing vessel. The Royal Navy then sent rescuers to the island, who subsequently found the survivors. They'd managed to repel the initial attack with sticks and stones. Fortunately for them, the islanders didn't return. Number 5. Interaction in colonial times. In 1880, Officer Maurice Vidal Portman of the Royal Navy attempted to establish contact with the Sentinelese. As a colonial administrator of the archipelago, it pacified previously hostile Andamanese tribes, particularly the
Buffering.
Bam! I got you. I see his bone.
He led a group of Andamanese trackers and armed Europeans to the island. The inhabitants retreated into the tree line and abandoned their settlements. Portman's expedition captured 4 Sentinelese children, as well as an elderly man and woman. They were taken to Port Blair, the archipelago's capital city. Shortly after they arrived, the adults died and the children became ill. Portman was quick to return them to the island, along with gifts, still hoping to establish friendly contact. This was never achieved, and the children most likely related the presumably alien experience to the others. Some have blamed the tribe's aggression towards outsiders on the way Portman had handled the interaction. The officer returned to the island several times, but the islanders always remained hidden.
dickhead. Still fucking.
In 1896, a convict from a prison colony used an improvised raft to reach the island. A search party later found him with a sliced throat and arrow wounds. Richard Garnett Temple, Chief Commissioner of the Andaman Islands from 1895 to 1904, described the Sentinelese as a tribe which slays every stranger, however inoffensive, on sight, whether a forgotten member of itself, of another Andamanese tribe, or a complete foreigner. Number 4. Primrose. In August of 1981, the Primrose, a cargo ship with a small crew, was caught in rough seas and became stranded near the North Sentinel coast. A few days later, armed islanders prepared canoes to attack the ship. The captain sent out a mayday asking for weapons. Strong waves prevented the Sentinelese from reaching the Primrose and deflected the arrows they fired. The crew spent almost a week stranded, terrified that their lives would be claimed by the tribe. They were ultimately
He mad as shit. That motherfucker's so mad right now about that shit, boy. He didn't see that
By a
coming.
civilian helicopter, assisted by the Indian Navy. Over the course of the months that followed, the Sentinelese scoured the shipwreck for metal. Scrap dealers contracted to dismantle the Primrose wreck reported regular visits by the Sentinelese over the course of the 18 months they worked at the site. They noted that their interaction was limited but without incident, as the Sentinelese were mainly interested in collecting iron. Number 3. T.N. Pandit. In 1974, a team of anthropologists and filmmakers from National Geographic visited the island to film a documentary entitled Man in Search of Man. They were very...
Look, did you know there was a government-funded education grant that could deposit up to 38...
Wow, I just beat this nigga 2 times in a row. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna wash your clothes, man. Two times in a row, fucking clown.
Geographic visited the island to film a documentary entitled Man in Search of Man. They were bearing gifts and planned to establish friendly contact over the course of several days. As the motorboat broke through the reefs, the Sentinelese shot arrows at it. The crew managed to reach the beach and left gifts that included, among others, aluminium cookware, a plastic doll, and a live pig. Another barrage of arrows then followed, one of which struck the documentary's director in the thigh. The Sentinelese man responsible for the hit could be heard laughing proudly as he retreated behind a tree. Others speared the doll and the pig and buried them in the sand. The expedition yielded the first photograph of the Sentinelese, which was presented in the National Geographic magazine as a people for whom arrows speak louder than words. Anthropologist T.M. Pandit was a member of the documentary expedition, and he'd earned a reputation as an expert advisor during the 1970s and 1980s. He was the first professional anthropologist to visit the island in 1967 and had been assisting various parties who were hoping to establish friendly contact. Pandit noted that the Sentinelese accepted the many gifts brought to them, but also mentioned violent encounters. Sometimes they'd rush to take the gifts only to then suddenly fire arrows at contact parties. Pandit noted that they sometimes wave, but at other times make obscene gestures, such as assuming defecated postures or swaying their penises. Yet Pandit's gift-giving expeditions paved the way for a rather successful interaction.
Official They Will Kill You merchandise is now available at theywillkillyou.com. Some of it is to die for.
Number 2. Peaceful Contact, 1991. The anthropological expedition of 1991 is, to date, the most peaceful encounter between the Sentinelese and outsiders. Madhumala Chattopadhyay, an anthropologist with the team, is often referred to as the first woman to have made contact with the tribe. On January the 4th, the Sentinelese for the first time approached visitors unarmed. They accepted the coconuts they'd been offered and got close to the dinghies as the exchanges were carried out hand to hand. One anthropologist noted the milestone that having been touched by the Sentinelese represented. Pandit and Madhumala returned on February the 24th and the peaceful interaction continued. A series of contact expeditions continued until 1994 and beyond, but saw no significant progress in learning more about the isolated Sentinelese. The tribe wouldn't allow visitors to get close to them, and most often gifts were left on the beach without any islanders making their presence known. Number 1. Further contact. The Sentinelese are among the world's last uncontacted tribes. The population has been designated a scheduled tribe and a particularly vulnerable tribal group. Most experts advise against any further contact attempts for the visitors' protection, but mainly for that of the tribe itself. The immune systems of the Sentinelese are unprepared for the diseases that modern humans can bring to their island. It's been argued that there's currently no way of integrating them into the modern world without the threat of wiping out the entire population. The argument seems to be reflected and reinforced by what has happened to the other Andamanese tribes after they opened themselves to outsiders. Through past and recent interactions, the Sentinelese people have made it violently clear that they have no interest of sharing their island, interacting with outsiders, or being part of another society except their own. Thanks for watching. Would you rather attempt to establish contacts with the Sentinelese or live in North Korea for a year? Let us know in the comment section below.
If you go to Yoga by helicopter, you don't need a lower car insurance rate. If not, there's Credit Karma.
What's he done? 21 minutes.